Hi there, good morning. You've tuned into ET Now and this is Market Cafe with me, Cheryl D'Souza, where I'll take you through all the top headlines that you need to watch out for before you kickstart your trading day. The first thing, let's talk about the suspense that's now over because BJP has made its pick. Rekha Gupta is going to be the new Chief Minister of Delhi, the first BJP Chief Minister in the national capital after 26 years. It's been over 2.5 decades of wait for the BJP, which last ruled Delhi from 1993 to 1998. And now, after handing in a defeat to Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi, BJP has its own Chief Minister in the heart of the country's seat of power. Rekha Gupta will be the fourth woman Chief Minister in Delhi after Sushma Swaraj, Sheila Dikshit and Atishi. It will now be BJP's turn to come good on the poll promises. The party has made its bet on the 50-year-old Rekha Gupta, who is a first-time MLA. The grand oath ceremony will be held in Ram Leela Maidan today at 12 p.m. In fact, let's go across and listen into what Rekha Gupta had to say after the big announcement was made last evening.
धन्यवाद अपने शीर्ष नेतृत्व को, आदरणीय मोदी जी को, दिल्ली की जनता को।
कितना बड़ा दायित्व आपको दिया गया है पार्टी द्वारा, आपको लगता है जिम्मेदारी बहुत है? अगर दायित्व भी दिया गया तो जिम्मेदारी भी बहुत है।
बिल्कुल जिम्मेदारी है, बिल्कुल।
पहला काम आप लोग क्या करने वाले हैं? यमुना का सफाई तो शुरू हो गई है रेखा जी।
दिल्ली के लिए जो मोदी जी का विजन है उसको पूरा करना ही हमारा सर्वप्रथम उद्देश्य है।
All right, that is the elated Rekha Gupta talking after the big announcement. We also caught up with Aditi Fadnis, who is the consulting editor at Business Standard, to decode the BJP's decision on the new Chief Minister's face.
So the fact is that Delhi has already been emasculated, and all the struggle that Madan Lal Khurana went through and Sahab Singh Verma went through to give Delhi the powers that they felt it should have, well, frankly, they're not there anymore. You are going to see, and as I said earlier, you will see a situation where the LG will become a very important person. Because Rekha Gupta is relatively new, not new to politics, but new to chief ministership, she will take some time to settle in, and that period will be used to further consolidate the centre's power. So Delhi is going to, in terms of governance, is going to look quite different from what it has been all these years, whether under Sushma Swaraj, whether under Madan Lal Khurana, whether under Sheila Dikshit, and also whether under Kejriwal. It's not going to look like any of those state government.
All right, then let's move on and let's talk about the top business headlines, especially let's talk about the US markets, how they closed in yesterday's trading session. And they closed at all-time highs, this despite signals coming in from the Federal Reserve that they are in no rush to go ahead and cut the interest rate. So you had S&P 500 that rose about 0.2%. Dow actually added 0.2% as well, and the yield on the 10-year treasuries declined to 2 basis points to about 4.53%. This is just as the previous session. The equities actually gained traction the last final edge or stretch of the trading session, and this after Fed minutes only reiterated the cautious stance by US policymakers. This is on back of the economic strength as well as stubborn inflation. If you look at treasuries, they advanced as officials also discussed pausing or slowing the balance sheet runoff until the debt ceiling drama has been resolved. And like I just spoke, that one of the top headlines last evening was about US Federal Reserve, the minutes coming in from that meeting. And the officials were largely in agreement with the idea of further progress on inflation before lowering the lending rates further. Not just that, you had the minutes that showed that there were concerns about potential impact of Donald Trump's tariffs in the long run. The committee also noted that the current policy is significantly less restrictive than it has been before the rate cut, giving the members time to evaluate the conditions before making any additional moves. Some members also took cognizance of upside risks to inflation stemming from the potential changes in the trade and the immigration policy, while majority of the officials have been seen on the cautious plan or cautious path when you talk about the rate decisions going ahead. So that is coming in from the Federal Reserve. The FOMC meet minutes and what they're highlighting. And that sort of commentary coming in from Federal Reserve is having an impact on the Asian screen as well in today's trading session. So let's take a look at what the Asian markets are doing, because you have Shanghai as well as Hang Seng that have opened for trading session. Remember, there are a lot of data points that we'll be watching out for coming in from Hong Kong, as well as you have Alibaba Group's earnings. So that also will be weighing on these counters. So Hang Seng is down about 1.8%. You have Shanghai that's started on a weak footing. You also have Nikkei and Kospi. Let's see where they're trading, given the fact that it is a bearish commentary or hawkish commentary coming in from the FOMC minutes. So yes, all down and out. That's your Asia screen. And the GIFT Nifty implied open also is indicating that we'll be in for a weaker than expected start today. So watch out for all of those factors. Apart from that, the crude market as well, that is hovering at a 1-week high. Remember that there are talks coming in about Russian-Ukraine deal being made or so. So a lot of back and forth on that particular front. Also, there's worry about supply disruptions coming in from Russia. So on back of that, you have crude that settled in higher. In fact, they both shut shop in yesterday's trading session at the highest level since February 11th. So watch out for crude as well, because it's moved away from the $75 per barrel mark. That's the Brent crude. But let's move on and let's talk about China then. The People's Bank of China has kept its lending rates unchanged. This is important to note that China continues to prioritize the financial stability over the interest rate in order to bolster the economy. Remember, over the weekend, the PBOC governor in fact heard saying that a stable yuan is crucial for maintaining global financial stability. He also added that while many currencies have fallen against the stronger dollar, yuan has remained largely stable. The Chinese yuan has actually fallen about 2.5% against the greenback since Trump's re-election in November. So those are all the top headlines when you talk about the currency market, or for the matter of fact, the stock markets. But let's talk about other big headline, other big talking point then is US President Donald Trump. He's escalated his attacks on Ukrainian President Zelensky, calling him a dictator and saying that he'd better move fast on the deal to end the war with Russia. In a fiery rant over a social media platform, Trump wrote, and I quote, "A dictator without elections, Zelensky better move fast or he is not going to have a country left," end of quote. Earlier, Zelensky had said that the US president was pushing a lot of disinformation coming from Russia. Meanwhile, you have US Vice President J.D. Vance has gone ahead and said that Zelensky's criticism of Trump was not helping his cause. All right, so that's one of the top headlines globally actually this morning. But on that note, we slip into a break on this edition of Market Cafe. When we come back, we'll tell you all the stocks that you need to watch out for in your trading session. Welcome back. You're watching Market Cafe with me, Cheryl D'Souza, and let's talk about stocks that are going to make headlines today and would move on that. First of all, let's talk about AkzoNobel, because the race for AkzoNobel in India business has heated up, because ET now has learned that JSW Paints, Pidilite Industries, Indigo Paints are the bidders for majority stake of AkzoNobel's Indian unit. Aishwarya is here with all the details. Aishwarya, over to you.
Yes, for AkzoNobel's decorative paints business, an acquisition of a majority stake in that entity is still on. What we're learning from our sources is that JSW Paints, Pidilite Industries, as well as Indigo are the top bidders as of now for AkzoNobel's majority stake in its India unit. Now, the JSW Group as well as Indigo are in talks with private equity firms to tie in money for a planned acquisition, is what some of our sources are just suggesting as well. As far as AkzoNobel is concerned, in the country, they have been marketing the Dulux brand of decorative paints in India. They have a network of about 8,000 dealers across the country. And the parent entity, which is the Dutch entity, owns about 75% of equity stake in the India business. And what will it mean for a successful buyout or the bidder who will come through for this stake sale? It would mean about $1.3 billion as far as this acquisition is concerned. We did reach out to JSW Group to respond to ET Now's query, but that was declined as well. What you need to note is also that before all of the three entities, Berger Paints has also shown interest in acquiring the decorative paints business of Akzo Nobel as well in the past. Let's see who becomes the successful bidder in the future. But as of now, this is our update, and this is what we're learning from our sources.
All right, thank you so much for that, Aishwarya. But let's move on and let's talk about the F&O snapshot, and let's try and take a glimpse of what the F&O picture is looking like, especially for today's trading session. Ansh is standing by with all of that. Ansh, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Cheryl. So let's start with Nifty first. Nifty actually closed almost flat in the previous session, but if you see on chart, then it has been consolidating from last 6 consecutive sessions, forming a very strong support base around that 22,800 to 22,700 mark. Also on option front, we are seeing very active put writing happening at that 22,700 mark, indicating very good support around that level. Whereas on upside, we are seeing very active call writing happening at that 23,200 strike, indicating option traders are expecting strong resistance selling pressure around this level. Now, if you talk about Nifty Bank, then Nifty Bank has also been forming a similar pattern to that of Nifty, because this also has been consolidating for 6 consecutive sessions, forming a very good support base around that 48,700 mark. Whereas if you talk about index future, then here we are seeing open interest has gone down by almost 3%, indicating short covering, which is a positive sign. Now, if you talk about index future position, then FII in the previous session have actually net added around 1,800 contract, due to which the total long position has inched higher from 15.9% to 16.3%. At the same time, if we check retail position as well, then they have also added some long by around 1,200 contract, due to which their total long has also inched up from 70% to 70.4%. So both of them seems to be adding long positions in the previous session.
All right, thank you so much for that, Ansh, for giving us a glimpse of what the F&O picture is looking like for today. But let's move on and let's talk stocks then, and stocks making headlines and which one you should watch out for in today's trading session. Gaurav is standing by with that list. Good morning to you, Gaurav. And which are the stocks that one should watch out for?
Well, yes, good morning. First, let's talk about the tobacco and cigarette stocks in the likes of ITC. These stocks are definitely going to be in focus, because as per media reports, the GST on these products is likely to go up almost to 40% versus what it is right now at 28%. What the media report is saying is that the indirect taxes currently stands at around 53%, which is still below the WHO's prescription of around 75% taxes on these products. Other than that, Bharat Forge is also going to be in focus, because its wholly owned subsidiary Kalyani Strategic System has now signed an agreement with AM General USA. With this, they will be supplying cannons to the USA, and this will be a first ever order from Indian company to the US company for cannons. On the other side, we also have to look out for M&M, because Mahindra Group and Anduril Partners are going to develop autonomous maritime system, and at the same time advanced AI enabled counter unmanned aerial systems. So definitely something in a defense system from Mahindra and Mahindra as well. On the other hand, India Glycol is also going to be in focus, because company has now been awarded around 18.6 crore liters of ethanol, and the aggregate value of this entire order is going to be around 1,264 crore rupees for the company. We also have Cyient, which will be in focus today because of the management change. Now, board has appointed Mr. Sukamal Banerjee for CEO, for the post of CEO for the next 5 years. Let's not forget that Mr. Banerjee has been has worked in HCL for the last 27 years in his experience. We also have Raymond, which will be in focus, because the final hearing from NCLT is going to be on March 21 in terms of the demerger of Raymond Limited and Raymond Realty. Lastly, let's also focus on BSE, because yesterday we saw the stock was soaring in trade, and the reason being that Goldman Sachs has bought around 7.28 lakh shares in bulk deal at a price of around 5,504 rupees. So definitely watching out on all these companies on the back of the news flow that we have received in the morning.
All right, thank you so much for that, Gaurav. That's the news flow that we've received, and those are the stocks to watch out for in trade today. But let's talk about EV. That's going to be a big theme today on ET Now as well. But it seems like the slowdown in the EV sales And Tesla's foray into India, Tata Motors has decided to increase its offers on range of EVs. They include recently launched Curve EV as well. Sumit is here with more details. And Sumit, what sort of discounts is Tata Motors offering on their EV cars?
Well, Tata Motors made initial entry into the Indian market. Initially, it did well, but the slowdown overall in the EV market is not a new news. So now Tata Motors is also trying to get more customers in the market. It's offering schemes of worth 1.86 lakh rupees for all the customers. It has Curve, it has Nexon, it has Punch, and it has Tiago. However, the surprising element here is that Tata Curve EV was launched 5 to 6 months ago. On that also discount has come. So we have to see how deep is the overall slowdown. Having said that, Indian government has a target of achieving 30% of total sales of automobiles by 2030 to be EVs. So that is a very big target, very big market as well. Few days ago, Mahindra and Mahindra also announced it's a very good bookings for the newly launched electric vehicles. However, slowdown concerns remain, and that's why Tata Motors is leaving no stone unturned to capture the market. Here, the discount schemes have come for all the electric vehicles, including Tata Curve EV as well.
All right, thank you for that, Sumit. But with that, we're totally out of time on this edition of Market Cafe. So goodbye from me, Cheryl D'Souza, and the team that put the show together. Thank you so much for watching. But stay tuned, the market will take all the action forward.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.